This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now I am so excited for today's guest because I've been wanting her on here for a long time and I couldn't find her for the longest time, but recently I have. I'll be talking to Andrea Howard, the gorgeous short-haired blonde that you saw in many movies and TV shows back in the day. Her biggest movie roles, of course, were the disco classic Thank God It's Friday, celebrating its 45th anniversary. She will be my third guest from that movie, and she'll be my first real official cast member from Just You and Me Kid, even though I talked to Leonard Stern's daughter Kate, who had like a real tiny walk-on part in that movie. I can't wait. I just love that movie. It's so underrated. And she was also in the Get Smart movie, The Nude Bomb, where she was Agent 22, because Barbara Feldon didn't want to do that movie. She'll be my third guest from Pink Motel, the sex comedy in which her and Squire Friedel, they provide the theatrical parts of the movie, you know, the humanistic parts, not so much the sexual parts of the movie, even though they're about having sex just as much as the other characters are. And she guest starred on all these great shows, you know, McMillan and Wife, The Love Boat, Auto Man, Knight Rider, so much great stuff there. And it's going to be a great conversation. She works in real estate now, like so many actresses I interview, you know, and I'm so excited. I can't tell you enough. This is a rescheduling because we tried to do this last Sunday and she needed to reschedule. So here we are. So yeah, here is my interview with Andrea Howard. Hey Andrea, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It came through on my phone, so I'll just get out a messenger then. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So we're good. My phone's charged. We should be fine.
Fantastic. I can't tell you what a great honor this is. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Sure.
So, going back in time, you know, I was reading on Wikipedia, you've had an amazing journey. You got married at 18, had 2 kids, got divorced by 25, which led you to being a production assistant at Universal Studios.
Wow. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you've done some homework. Yes, that is true. I had a first marriage with high school sweetheart.
Right.
Had my kids, bam, bam, right away. I had one at 18 and then another at 20. And was a single mom for about 4 years and then met the love of my life when I was 28. And we had 42 incredible years together.
Oh, wow. That is wonderful. So you had never even acted in a school play or showed any interest in acting before? Wow.
Nope. Not even a little bit. I backed into it. I absolutely backed into it. It was not a lifelong dream at all. As a matter of fact, I looked at actors with disdain, if you want the truth.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, I came from a family. My father, oh gosh, he was in the business forever as a producer of the early variety shows like The King Family, and a funny coincidence, the universe works in funny, funny ways. My husband, the one who became the love of my life, was married to one of the King family and had his child with her. So we never had any together, but between us, the 3 kids. So it was interesting that my father had been in the business and knew my husband and his wife before I ever met him.
Wow, it's amazing considering you're such a natural on screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been so darn long since that was in my life. But I did do 20 years of it. I had a decent career. You know, it's tough to get work in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
And being able to have a decent career for 20 years, I consider myself one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. So you're born and raised in Utah?
No, I was born in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
My parents moved us to Los Angeles when I was maybe 3 months old, so I'm everything but a native.
I see. Did you grow up Mormon?
Well, I come from a very Mormon family, but one of the reasons my parents left Utah was to get away from the church, quite frankly. I mean, they didn't, they stayed around all of my relatives, and they don't have any problem with it. It just wasn't for them. So that was one of the reasons, other than the fact my father did want to get into the business. He was always very drawn to it and smitten with it. So he eventually, he started working in a factory when they first got to LA, but eventually he worked his way into the business. So, yeah, I was raised around a lot of it, but I never practiced the faith myself.
I get it. So when you were at Universal, that was during the Sid Sheinberg and Ned Tannen era?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I got into the business when I got divorced and was a single mom. Happily, my father had some help. I mean, he didn't really get me a job, but he had some contacts, and I was able to get in to a company called at the time Talent Associates, Leonard Stern. And I went in as a secretary and then worked my way into just the beginning of production assistant. And interestingly, one of my cohorts, also a, if you will, secretary, was Sherry Lansing. And you're such a buff. You know who that is.
Yes, not only is she the wife of William Friedkin, she also ran Paramount.
Oh, yeah, she did. But it was funny because we were both on the same plane with Talent Associates as more or less secretaries, production assistant / gophers, whatever. And Sherry chose to go into the whole production end of it, obviously. Mm-hmm. And it's a long, dumb story, but I had a part kind of waved in front of my face, and I never thought I wanted to act, but when it got waved in front of my face, I went, oh, Leonard, I think I want to do that. And he looked at me, no. He said, you don't know what a tough life that is. Don't do it. And I said, well, and so I started taking classes at night. And eventually I said, will you please come and see to Leonard, because I was still working for him as a production assistant. And I said, would you come and watch one of the workshops one night and tell me what you think? You'll be honest. And he did. And he said, all right. And he gave me my first break, of course. And then the rest is history.
Who was the acting teacher?
Oh, gosh, who was? Well, I went to, you know what? It's been so long, I can barely remember. Let me think. It was a workshop on the CBS lot. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I can't remember the exact name of it anymore. And I started with them, and then I did end up with a guy. Oh my gosh! Oh, Tommy, you've stymied me.
Sorry.
Oh, he was one of the biggest acting coaches. I didn't go with Stella Adler. She was in town for a while. I think I might have taken a few classes of hers.
Milton Castellas?
Yes, thank you, Milton. I was in his class for a period of time. Yeah.
I've talked to so many of his students, and so many of his students won't talk to me because they're afraid that I'm going to bring up Scientology because I love sci-fi, and I would never do that. I'm not interested in Scientology, Well, I mean, that was... I didn't... If that was happening and there was an involvement there, I didn't notice it. Right.
You're paying attention to your own stuff that's going on at the time anyway. So, yeah, right. So I did, classes at night, but I really I learned on the job. And I was fortunate enough, I don't like the word luck, fortunate enough that Leonard put me in a couple of his pilots, right. And he was the director of, and there's no better teacher than him.
Absolutely.
I loved working for a comedy writer. I mean, if you will, a writer of comedy. I loved everything about sitcoms. It's really what I wanted. I mean, probably my ultimate dream would have been to land a really good sitcom and be on it for a few years. That I wanted more than anything. Didn't happen. I mean, I landed leads in 2 or 3 pilots, but they didn't sell. So there you go.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
That's showbiz.
But I did, I did a lot of guest shots and 2 or 3 little movies, and I was a working actor for 20 years, a lot of commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So,
did you always, like, even in the beginning, did you always cut your hair short?
Yeah, because I don't have great hair.
Well, it became your trademark. I mean, it's always looked adorable on you.
Oh, thank you. A couple of times I've let it grow to my chin. It looks bedraggled. So I just don't have good thick hair. So it never made any sense for me to try to grow the typical mane. And, face did suit a short cut. So I just stuck with it.
Yeah. So you did a couple episodes of Macmillan Wife. How was those experiences?
They were fine. I did a lot of guest spots. A fair amount of guest spots on a lot of shows. And, when it's this many years later, they sort of run together. But, I loved anything I could do that had anything to do with Leonard because I admired him so much.
Right.
And, proud and not have him sorry that he gave me the breaks he did.
Yeah. Were you starstruck? Yeah. Were you starstruck around Rock Hudson?
Well, yeah. Actually, I played his girlfriend in one of those episodes. I think. Mm-hmm. What was the name? Oh, darn it. Oh, Andrea. I don't know. I should have had my resume in front of me, shouldn't I? Was it
Love, Honor, and Swindle, or Point of Law?
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a lovely man. He just was a real sweetheart. A nicer person you'd never want to meet.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of people. Another guest of mine, Lou Antonio, directed the episodes.
Oh, love Lou.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He was fun. It was a lot of fun. Well, Leonard was very loyal to the people that he brought along or just considered friends, Right. He was an extremely loyal guy. You're such a buff. I imagine you have some following in your mind of John Shuck.
Oh, yes. I mean...
And Leonard put him in a lot of things. And it's funny, he loved to pair the two of us up.
Yeah, I mean, you and him had great chemistry.
Yeah. And what's fun is John moved to Nashville, or the Nashville area, several years ago.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in Chattanooga, he's up in Nashville, and we're back in touch.
I know, he's like your kindred spirit in the business.
He is. He is. I love John. That's another fabulous human being, by the way. Oh.
Yeah, he's great in everything.
Yeah.
Now, I never knew about this show that you were on. It was called Ellery Queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring it back into focus.
Jim Hutton, Eddie Bracken, Bob Crane, David Wayne. That was a good cast.
Wow. I think that was just a guest shot, wasn't it? I can't remember.
Probably.
Boy.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. You played a receptionist.
It was probably 3 lines, and that's why I don't remember it. I would imagine that is exactly the case.
Holmes and Yo-Yo. Yeah, I didn't even know about this show until recently, and I saw the pilot on YouTube. It's very 70s.
What I do is what you do. I need to go and watch some of these YouTubes so that I can remember my career. Because, what's fun is Holmes and Yo-Yo. Mm-hmm. It was a short-lived little series, another one of Leonard's. And I was, one of the side casts. I was the token female.
Right.
Of course, was on it. And interestingly, my husband was the associate producer on it.
Yeah. Richard Scholl, he was so good. I remember him from Splash. He was just so funny. Yeah. What was he like?
He was a great guy. Great guy. I had both of them. I was much closer to John, so John and I kind of hung a little more. But, yeah, it was a very short-lived show. I think we only did about 7.
Yeah, it didn't go very long.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that name, Maxine Moon. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Rossetti and Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Well, playing a nun. that was difficult typecasting. It was absolutely ridiculous if you think about it.
And she's Italian, Costanza.
Jeez Maurice. Leonard had a sense of humor.
Yeah. John Astin directed the episode you were in.
Yeah, that's true.
Gomez.
Yeah. Gosh.
And Patty Duke was in it too, and Bill Dana. Wow.
Love Bill Dana. He's another one. See, like I said, Leonard was incredibly loyal to the people that he believed in. He put Dana in a lot of things, John. I'm sure he would have Richard a lot more had he been able to, if the time had been right or whatever. Yeah, he was, he liked his people and he loved working with them and he loved facilitating.
I know, that's what Kate told me, that he was very loyal.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, and it was neat because even long past when I had quit acting, the Sterns stayed in my life. I mean, we were very, very good friends up until we lost Leonard. And as you may know, Gloria's still alive. Yeah. And I am in touch with her occasionally. But that family was very, very important in mine and my husband's life. Leonard gave my husband a lot of opportunities in the production end, too.
Nice. Yeah, because back then, there was no internet. Everybody knew each other. It was such a camaraderie in Hollywood. Now, it's like everyone's spread out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's totally foreign to me. I think the last time I was in front of a camera was in the, let's see, when would it have been? Early 90s? Mm-hmm. Probably early 90s. And it was I remember it. It was a Chevrolet commercial.
Right.
And I was in Seattle doing commercials there. And, yeah, that was the time I worked. So I have any idea what it's like today.
Yeah, well, it's a way different world, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't care for it. I mean, it was a fun business to be in. And most people, had their side life, too. It's like, we lived out of town. We lived like 40, 45 minutes out of town in Calabasas. And, had both the work life and had a kind of a ranch life, which was great. It was a great combo to live with. Then keeps your perspective, get caught up in nonsense. And I had two teenage kids to guide, who, by the way, never had any interest in doing anything in Hollywood, even though their mother and their father and their grandfather were Hollywoodites.
Yeah.
They didn't want it. And the few times I would get recognized, especially after Thank God It's Friday, my poor daughters were like preteen, Yeah. And oh, man, they hated it. Oh, they hated it. So embarrassed.
You're my third guest from Thank God It's Friday. I've talked to Muse Small and Hillary Bean. Sadly, I didn't get to talk about Thank God It's Friday with Muse because we were on a time limit and there's so many other movies I wanted to talk about. But, yeah, I love the movie. I used to be on HBO all the time when I was growing up. Was it a standard audition for you?
Actually, dancing got me in the door on that one, which was kind of cool. See, we were incestuous, this Leonard Stern group. Yeah, Sherry called me one day. I was, just starting to break in, and doing some this and that and the others. And she called me and she said, how'd you like to come and audition for one of the leads in a movie? I said, oh, gee, I'd hate that, Sherry. So she got me through the door. But I got it. I got it on my own audition. I was right for that part.
Oh, yeah.
It was perfect. I mean, that Sue was, I was absolutely out there. But anyway, yeah, Sherry got me through the door on that. I can't even remember her connection. God, did she? I didn't think she produced that. I don't think she. I don't remember what her position was, or if she just knew people. But I don't know. I have the feeling she was more involved than just opening the door for me. I think she was part of the production people in some way. But anyway, yeah, that was Sherry.
Yeah. It was right at the height of the disco craze, and Columbia was making these little movies that took place in one little location during that era. Like they did a teen movie a year or two before called Drive-In, which was kind of a rip-off of American Graffiti, except it took place in Texas. Did it get tedious being in that club all day filming?
Did it? Weird shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was probably the biggest deal, if you really look at it, in my, quote, career.
Yeah.
I was great. I could not, I just had to be very grateful for getting the role. Because what were they doing? They were going to be pushing Donna Summers and the Commodores and that. There was kind of rarefied air at the time. So I felt very fortunate to be in an ensemble cast and, going, and it ended up being a real cult movie. So I just was caught up in trying to do a decent job. I remember it was an unusual situation for me where we had readings for a couple of weeks before we started shooting. Most of the time when I'd go to work, you'd go, in the morning knowing your lines, and you'd just go ahead and shoot it. Go through the motions and shoot it. But this was reading and fleshing things out. And I remember when I read the script and I knew what the guy I was going to be playing opposite, mostly, not my husband, but the manager of the joint. And I, of course, pictured, Dudley Do-Right, very handsome, suave. So when Jeff Goldblum walked in, I said, what? I mean, Jeff Goldblum would not be your typical casting for that role. And I said, are these people crazy? I mean, Jeff, and he was a strange guy. We got to be very good friends, and he grew on me. I grew to like him very much. But boy, when you meet Jeff, especially back when he was a nobody as well.
Yeah.
And he's a strange dude.
Oh yeah. I've
got a very demeanor, and I'm going, how am I going to work with this guy? How am I going to be attracted to such a goofy guy? And as it turned out, it worked fine, and Jeff and I had a great time. But I thought, this is bizarre casting.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
He had just done.
I love is he's the one who went on to have the career.
Yeah, and he had just done Death Wish, where he played a rapist. He had done a couple of Robert Altman movies. He was still unknown. I think he had just done the Woody Allen part in Annie Hall when he's at the Hollywood party and he says on the phone, "I forgot my mantra." Yeah,
it ended up a lot of fun. I really ended up liking him a lot. But when we were first doing the readings, I'm sitting to myself, I said, all right, Andrea, you really got to prove you're an actress now, because this is going to be tough. Because he's strange. I mean, he may have grown into himself as the years went on. I really, honestly didn't see him much after that. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting experience. It was fun. It was interesting, yeah. But
yeah. I'm sure you could relate to Sue, because by that point you had been divorced, and she's having trouble with her husband because he's not much fun,
Yeah. Well, by then my life my new life. I'd been a single woman in Hollywood with 2 kids for a few years and then happily married. By the time I did that movie, I think we had married a few years, so I was pretty stable by then.
Yeah, but oh my God, that Mark Lanau, he's actually pretty good playing the husband. You know, he gets mad. He gets mad because you want to show your cleavage, and he's like, "They're mine, not yours. They're ours. They're our tits."
God, oh
yeah,
oh, quite the experience. What does he work anymore? I never remember seeing him anymore. Do you know?
I'm going to have to look that up on IMDb because I have no idea. But my number one crush is in this movie, Valerie Landsberg.
Valerie. Oh, my, yeah.
I grew up watching Fame. Yeah, I grew up watching Fame. I always had a crush on her. We've been going back and forth about doing an interview in the last year. Hopefully it's going to happen. And I'm sorry?
What's she been doing?
She's been doing Fame reunions, and she directs. You know, she made a really great film. Oh, God, what's it called? It came out a couple of years ago. It was an indie film, and it was like watching a documentary about my own family. It was about a family going through financial problems, and they're very dysfunctional and always arguing. It reminded me of my own family growing up. And and, of course, you know, her cohort in the movie, Terry Nunn, is the lead singer of Berlin. I have a story about her, but I can't tell it. It's not politically correct. I had an experience with her 15 years ago.
It's interesting. I'm as you're talking about this, I'm Googling. I just brought her up, and here she is, a little young thing. My goodness. Well, and look who else had a huge career after that, Deborah.
Oh, Deborah Winger, yes. And then she left Hollywood, and, you know, I don't know what she's doing now. I heard she still goes to Hollywood parties to see her friends, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, you know, you do age in that business.
Mark Lanau, it says here, you know, pretty much he gave up acting in the early 2000s.
Well, and he worked for a while. Listen, you can make a living as an actor. You're doing well. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was first starting out, I think it was might have been Sherry Lansing, my friend, who said, Andy, are you sure you want to go that route? You know you can make it in production. You sure you want to do that? And I said, yeah, I really do. But I remember her telling me that at that time, now understand what was that, the early 80s. Right. She said, making $100,000 a year was a lot of money at that era. And, you know, that's about what I made every year with commercials and everything. But anyway, she said the real stats as an actor, only 5% of the card-carrying SAG members make over $5,000 a year. 5%. Right. Now, I don't know what the percents are today, but I imagine they're no better. The numbers are, but the stats aren't. So if somebody can make a living as an actor, you're in the 5%.
Yeah, it's crazy now, you know. I mean, there's that strike going on with the Writers Guild, but like the Actors Guild is no better, you know. I talked to Ed Asner before he passed, and he was suing SAG at the time because of the whole medical insurance thing and the pensions and what have you. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've talked to so many actors who are not even in SAG anymore because they became persona non grata because their politics are different than the president of SAG's politics and what have you, or they were stunt people that didn't get covered when they got injured and all these different things. It's gotten really political there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would, you know, at the time, like I said, I had friends, our little group especially, but for the most part, I really was not a Hollywood person. Right. As it turns out, I didn't have a lot of actor friends. I had a handful,
and we enjoyed. I mean, Sharon Gless and I were good friends for quite a while.
I just talked to Sharon like 6 months ago. I love her. She is so funny and so bawdy.
She's a hoot. I love her too.
Yeah.
I think I was watching something about her the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Might have. Oh no, I know what it was. I read her book.
Yeah.
It was really fun because she, of course, went over a lot of the stuff that we experienced together, because she was absolutely, as a matter of fact, it was Sharon Gless. She got the role that was waved in front of my face that made me turn to the acting thing. She got the part.
Right.
And I was disappointed because I wasn't really running for it. It's just the director saw me read with an actor in the office, because Leonard would just have me read with actors because I was there and I was decent. And so when the director of a pilot that Sharon ended up being in, and she wasn't big yet either.
Yeah.
He said to Leonard, he said, "This girl is perfect. What are we doing this for?" And that's when I went, "I am? Really?" And it ended up Sharon did the part. But she and I became very, very good friends for quite a while. And hung, and she is one of the funniest people on the planet.
God, she's a scream, and it was a huge bucket list honor for me. I'm so glad that I got connected with her, and I just love her. Yeah, we talked about those Universal days, and yeah, she was like the last contract player there.
Yeah, she was. She went on to have a great career. I hope she's doing well now. Is she happy and doing well?
Oh yes, she's still working and just having a ball.
Good.
Do you remember anything about Donna Summer and the Commodores? Did you interact with them?
They kept their distance. They weren't gonna be hanging with us.
Okay.
I don't remember meeting them, honestly. Any of them.
And Robert.
And
go ahead.
I did shoot when I don't think I was on the set when they were there. I don't think any of my stuff, I wouldn't have been there for anything that they were shooting. But I must admit, it was very fun to be in a movie where the song got Song of the Year. That was fun.
Yeah.
Last Dance. Yeah. That was cool.
Robert Klein, of course, he never directed another movie, but he wrote some of my favorite comedies after this.
Yeah. God, I barely remember it. Isn't that terrible? Oh,
it's okay. It wasn't that important,
Well, once I got out of the business, I've had 4 other careers since then. So it's like, it really is ancient history to me. It's like, did I really do that?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do these other chapters in life. We had a vineyard and a winery. We raised and bred and showed horses.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Like 3 other big careers besides real estate. I've done. I went back to college, got my interior design degree. So it's all of this that we're talking about. I don't want to sound like I'm getting demented where I don't remember anything.
Oh no!
But when in the rear view mirror that far, you tend to just go, "Wow, that's right. Oh, I kind of remember that." But it's been a while.
Well, you're lucky to be talking to me because I'm passionate about this, and I can just help you along.
Yes, it's helpful. Thank you.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I love Just You and Me, Kid. I have since I was 5 years old. It used to be on HBO all the time throughout my childhood. I'd see it on cable constantly. And strangely enough, it was never on VHS, and I don't know why. But I know all the lines. I know all your lines. I think George Burns and Brooke Shields had great chemistry,
Yes. Another lovely person. Well, both of them. I mean, he was wonderful. Incredible to be around him. If anybody starstruck me, it would be him. And Brooke was lovely. And very smart, by the way.
Yeah.
She was a very, very bright woman. I mean, I think she had a very, very high IQ.
Yeah. She was on Mark Maron's podcast recently. I was hoping she would give an anecdote about this movie because Maron's a comedian and he's always curious about people working with legendary comedians, but it never came up. But I love that you and Shuck are always wearing matching outfits.
Oh my God. Yeah, and hey, busybodies over the fence. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, yeah, like you two are on watch duty wearing those karate gis, and like Burns and Lorraine Gary are like arguing, and after she leaves, he says to you, "Well, that's it. Next show at 8 o'clock tonight. Until then, I hope you've had a marvelous time tonight. Bump, bump. Thank you." And then Chuck tries to applaud, but you grab him and like push him into the house.
You know, but it's coming back. It's coming back. I loved working with John. He's such a cool guy. It was fun catching up again. He was doing a local play in outside of Nashville, and I was able to go catch it, and it was just so cool to see him on stage again.
Yeah, Burns had so many great lines in this movie. Some you can't even get away with today. You know, like Brooke Shields says, "How do I know you're not some kind of pervert?" And he's like, "If I was, I'd have business cards printed."
Isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame that we can't talk like that now? Now, of course, this chick would, but
yeah,
because I don't get censored easily. I don't do well with censorship, so I would say, but you're right. You do have to pay attention now. It's a shame.
Well, I got that. I got that.
We had a lot of fun. I'm telling you. These wokey people. I hope I'm not. I don't get the feeling that I'm insulting you. But
absolutely not.
Wokey people do not understand the joy they've taken out of their lives and the fun and the laugh.
It's context. They don't understand that.
It's dumb. It's the silliest thing in the world. I mean, some of the things I see people get upset about, it just makes me laugh.
I got that notification that you liked that dirty meme I posted last night, so that was my first clue that you're not woke.
No, I am the furthest thing from it.
Furthest. I love it.
Oh, God. Oh, Lordy, no.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I came up in a business, Hollywood, when, all the whole Me Too thing is ridiculous. You know, that stuff has been going on since the beginning of time, number one.
Right.
And number two, it's just, if you're going to be a woman trying to make it in Hollywood, at least in those days, you better learn, you need to take care of yourself. And you just some guy gets out of line and you don't want to play ball, and plenty of them wanted to play ball.
Oh, yeah.
Casting Couch was and is still alive and well. But the bottom line is you either said yay or nay, and you just handled it. You didn't turn them in and sue them, and I don't know that. And then to go after these guys 30 years after the fact, give me a break.
Yeah, I don't buy it, because we do know that a lot of it is true, but a lot of it isn't.
Well, isn't, and guess what? That's the way it was in those days. And like I said, you either went along or you didn't go along. That was up to you. And there was not a bunch of raping going on. It was the games being played, and you either did or you didn't, and you can't come back later and say, that guy did this to me and did that to me. That whole Me Too thing, I just sat there. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Now, Harvey was a bad guy, yeah, but there were a lot of them. I could name you other names that were just as bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the way it was, and it was even worse in the group before me. I mean, it goes all the way back. It's a tough business, kids.
I totally get it, yeah.
Yeah.
How does the Nude Bomb come to you?
How did it? Leonard, of course.
Okay.
Oh, he did Get Smart, the show, the series, for many, many years. And then they went to go ahead and do the movie version of Get Smart.
Right.
And they ended up, rather than just having Agent 99, the Barbara Feldon part, that was my part. But then there were two other gals that, it's almost like there was myself, but then there were these two other girls that had little parts in it too that were other agents. But anyway, Leonard gave me that part straight up. He directed it.
Yeah. Well, Barbara Feldon, you know, she wasn't asked to be in the movie, and she later said that if she would have been asked, she would have turned it down. I guess she felt she had done it already, you know.
Well, and here's the deal: it wasn't a great movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I love my Leonard dearly, but it was not a great movie. But it was a wonderful experience for me because I got to do a lot in it. I got to do a lot of physical stuff, which at the time I enjoyed and had fun, you know, working with the stunt coordinators and everything to pretend to be in fights and handling guns and all that fun stuff. It was fun. And, but I must say, my leading man is not one of my most favorite people that I worked with. Not a real giving actor. Let's just leave it. It's a tough one, that old dog.
I've heard that he was really tough. Yeah.
Tough. But it didn't matter. I mean, what did I care? I had fun. And I always loved Leonard directing me because he's the best. So it was fabulous to be able to do that.
What was Sylvia Crystal like?
Didn't work with her all that much. We were just kind of fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
She was nice, if I remember. I certainly didn't have anything derogatory that I would want to say. She seemed like she was pretty nice.
Yeah, she did.
And Bill Daniel was in it, and he was a good friend, so that was fun.
Did you spend any time with Mel Brooks or Buck Henry?
No, they were before me.
Yeah, because they did work on the script.
Yeah, but it was really only Leonard as far as the whole production end of it. I didn't work with the writers at all.
Did you work with Sarah Rush, who played Pam Krovney?
Don't remember that word.
Yeah, she was on Battlestar Galactica at that time.
No, we must not have done all that much in the way of the work.
Do you remember guest starring on Herbie the Love Bug?
Barely. But I can't tell you how many people ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. Because it's probably one of my least memories. Or should I say, fleeting memories. I barely remember it, honestly.
Yeah.
But then again, what were you in? And I go, then I have to look online to see what my resume is. I think a lot of people like to ask me about the Love Boat. Mm-hmm. That's another one. People were very impressed by the fact that I got to do the Love Boat. I don't even remember what the part was, but yeah.
You got to be on there with some legends: Milton Berle, Karen Kay, Judy Landers, Ben Murphy, Stephen Keats. Wow.
Yeah. I think very first job in front of the camera for pay was, what was it, Marcus Welby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Brolin.
And I got that on my own. I did have to audition a lot. I didn't just get given parts, believe me. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, at the time, people would say to me, what do you do? And I say, I audition, meaning, what's your career? I audition. And they look at me and go, hey. Well, it's true. I mean, you have to audition dozens of times before you get a role in anything, including commercials. So, yeah, your life really as an actor, unless you're a name that gets given parts, or you have a mentor like Leonard, where I was given some parts, but away from working with him, and I did work a lot away from the stable of Leonard Stern. Mm-hmm. I was constantly auditioning. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And you're turned down most of the time. Even working actors that are, quote, successful. It's a rough gig.
It's a rough gig. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And I'm really glad I did it. Because it was fun. Mm-hmm. I was able to be a good mom because a lot of the time I was not working. So when I worked hard and I didn't have to go on location very often, so that was good because I had teenage kids, and yeah, I was able to be a good mom and have my cake and eat it too. It was nice. I wouldn't have had that had I gone Sherry Lansing's route.
Yeah.
And I would not have had a successful marriage. She got married late in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're my third guest from Pink Motel. I've had.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
I got a compliment to give you based on this movie. You know, I think that you and Squire Friedel had great chemistry. I think you two provide the human element of the movie, and because it's otherwise a dirty comedy, you know, with lots of nudity and stuff. But you two come off like you're doing a stage production. I love it.
Well, would you like a fun little anecdote to that story?
Of course.
Squire's another one that Leonard was very loyal to.
Right.
He put him in. And what's interesting about it is Squire met him through me and my husband, because my husband, the one I told you about of 42 years, he and Squire were best friends since college.
Mm-hmm.
So Squire was married at the time to a gal named Susie, very good couple friends of ours for many, many years. Uh-huh. And Squire and I got cast as lovers, which was kind of funny with our husband and our wives.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting that we had to play lovers, because Squire and I were just really, really close brother-sisterly friends. And it was really cute. I remember we were shooting the most intimate scene, and he had his head down by my ear, and when the director, I can't even remember who did it now, said cut,
Mike McFarland.
He whispered in my ear, "I'm so glad it's you." Because Squire is not leading man type kind of. He was embarrassed playing a lover and being in his jockeys and all of that. Yeah. It was really embarrassing to him because it didn't come natural to him.
Right.
And it was him saying to me, one of my best friends, "I'm so glad it's you." That was sort of an interesting situation. But so it's funny that you say we had chemistry.
Yeah, I thought you two did.
That's pretty well. Yeah, well, probably because we knew it so well, and we're really, really good friends, so we could let it hang out.
Yeah.
You know?
You have that great line, "I'll be damned if I cram foreplay and an orgasm in one act just to get you home on time."
I can't believe you. Dialogue.
I'm your biggest fan, Andrea. I really am.
Oh my God. You're the sweetest thing. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. How was guest starring on Automan?
God, who was in that with me? Tell me, Tommy.
You play Clu Gulager's fiance.
Good grief. Automan. Oh, that was a movie.
No, it was a TV superhero movie with Chuck Wagner and Desi Arnaz Jr.
Oh my gosh. You know, that's another one that it must have been a really small part, because I remember it. I remember the name, and that's about it. It wasn't a good part, was it? Do you remember?
I thought you were great in it. You looked good in it. Yeah, you just had like two short scenes where, like, you know, Clu Gulager is basically gaslighting you into believing his lies, and that's pretty much it.
All right, so let me. If you want to look these things up, hit YouTube and hit some of these titles talking about. Will I find these things so I can watch them again and relive my career?
That's how I found them. That's how I found a lot of the TV stuff, you know, because, you know, this stuff wasn't on when I was a kid, so yeah.
All right, well, I thank you for that, because I would like to go back and see what you're talking about, because that one, honestly, I don't remember. I remember it was a movie of the week, and it must have been a really small part, because it certainly did stick with me.
How was having a recurring role on Santa Barbara?
The hardest work of my life.
Yeah, people have told me that soap operas are the hardest job, because you got to memorize 50 pages of dialogue a day, and if you stop, you're fired.
Well, yeah, and they are merciless. They are unkind.
Yeah.
They are boom, boom, boom. There is no petting you. There's no working with you. I did not. I have more respect for soap opera people than anybody in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was on it for a while, and it was grueling, was unrewarding. It was like being in a terror situation all the time. As a matter of fact, when they told me they were going to kill me off, I literally went, "Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God." What the hell? No, truly, I never went after a soap again.
Yeah.
It's tough, gig anybody could do. Well, we've only got, how many are even left on the air? I don't even know. Interesting. My daughter-in-law is a director on Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, and has been for many years. It's one of the few that's left.
My mom watches all that stuff to this day. I watched a little bit with her when I was a kid, but I completely stopped. But yeah, Mark Arnold, I've interviewed him. He told me he didn't like doing soap operas necessarily, but it was work to him, you know.
Well, yes. I mean, clearly, if they'd said to me, it's the only job you're going to be able to have from now on, I probably would have bellied up and, pulled my bootstraps up and done it. But I was really glad that I didn't have to do it. Well, actually, I did a short stint on... what was the other one? Young and the Restless for a while. I was on that for a few. And that one wasn't as tough. Santa Barbara was tougher. They weren't very friendly on that show.
Wow.
It was a tough one. Yeah. Yeah, because you're exhausted from working all day and kicking back that dialogue. And there are no teleprompters. You don't get any help with that. Some of the big stars will have the boards that they can look at, but they don't do it for the underlings. And then you have to go home and learn 20 more pages. Well, I don't know when you're supposed to sleep.
Yeah.
It was rough, and it's true. It's very, very difficult because you're not on teleprompter,
right.
And so very easy to go up on your lines. And they're up in the booth and they're yelling at you all over the PA, and everybody in the studio can hear. Yeah, it was rough. I did not like that at all. But a lot of people remember me from it, so, that was a good thing.
How about Knight Rider?
Knight Rider. Let me think. That's another movie.
No. It's the series with David Hasselhoff.
Oh, that's right. Don't remember a lot about it. Probably didn't enjoy it that much.
Your hair was super short. You looked like Brigitte Nielsen with your hair the way it was short.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it was probably uneventful for me, and that's why I don't have in my mental bank. The ones that I remember are the ones that I had fun with, clearly. Luckily, I don't harbor the bad stuff.
I forgot that was you, the blonde in the strip bar in summer school.
Yeah, and I'm still getting residuals from that.
Oh yeah, it's a cult movie. I've talked to a few people from it, and I've loved it ever since I was a kid. That must have been just great working with Carl Reiner.
Yeah, it was a fun shoot, and it was a fun little role. We had a good time with that. I can't remember the gal I did the scene
Dee Dee Reicher.
Yes. We had a lot of fun, and Mark Harmon was very nice.
Yeah, my dad met him. My dad met him at the celebrity softball game about a year after the movie came out, and he was surrounded by all these beautiful women, and he hadn't shaved in a couple of days. And so, as he's signing my dad's autograph, this one woman says, "Mark, you really need to shave." And my dad said, "No, he's just putting on his game face." And then Mark turns to my dad and gives him this look like, "Okay, here's your autograph. Get the fuck out of here."
He didn't really hobnob with the rest of the cast all that much, but from what I did see, he seemed like a pretty neat guy.
Oh, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that my residuals are down to about $4.98.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a cult movie, and the guy who did the stripping, Ken Oland, I've had him on here. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah. No, that was a cute movie.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving.
So you mentioned you did a lot of commercials. Like, what did you endorse?
Well, I call it endorse. It just, I would be cast as the lawyer or the mother or the teacher, which is what I played in Age Enough but anyway, yeah, just, products, stuff. Who knows at this point? I remember, I was cast in a Kool-Aid commercial, and they were hard time finding children that were the right age that had their teeth, because they didn't want kids without teeth because of how bad Kool-Aid was, the sugar for your teeth.
Yeah.
But does anybody know of any kids? We've gone through all the kids. They've either got teeth missing or whatever. And I said to my 2 daughters, I said, well, I've got 2 kids that age. And they said, well, bring them in. Will they want to audition? And I said, all right. So I brought them, and they were all excited. They thought, geez, this would be fun. This is what you do, Mom? Then, of course, they got all excited about the fact that they may be able to be in a commercial. So they went in for their audition, and they came out scarlet red. And they looked at me, and they said, I don't know how you do that. And they never asked to do it again. They were mortified because the people were mean to them.
Yeah.
Now you know what your mother goes through every day. Again, I thought it was a great lesson to teach them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a mom, a teacher, really, Sue from Thank God It's Friday parts, for the most part.
Yeah.
I had a commercial look. So thankfully, I made a lot of commercials and supported myself for 20 years on it.
Yeah, so like I've talked to a lot of actresses who got into real estate later in life, and apparently they make pretty good money from it. Is that initially why you got into it?
I always loved the product. I always did a lot of buying, selling, flipping my own properties over the years. So in between acting, I would do projects and flips and things like that. It just was a natural. And I was very much into interior design. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I went back to school in the 40s and got my design degree. I never used it with clients. I used it for myself because I didn't want to deal with crazy clients. But I just always loved real estate. And, a lot of women like jewelry and clothes. And I went through my clothes horse period, especially when I was working. But I've never been a big jewelry fan or any of that. And cars, care less about. But I absolutely love property. And that's my candy. So it just was always a natural. It was sort of just in and out of my life in between these other careers I did. Mm-hmm. So at one point I put together a design center, opened furniture stores, I had retail shops, things like that. So, but I would always do the real estate in between. Every state that I've ever lived in, I've had a real estate license. I'm in Tennessee now. I've got one in Tennessee and Georgia because I'm on the border. So, it's just what I do. It's a natural for me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, during COVID, people, I think, couldn't sell a lot of properties who were in real estate. But then, in the last year or so, it's really taken off again. Yeah,
and it's doing really well here because so many people are leaving the West Coast and the Northeast, and they're moving to places like Tennessee to get away from the woke stuff. And so, there is no shortage of buyers coming into the state every day. So, yeah, it's a good place to be. I wouldn't say every state is doing well, but, I think people realize when they get iffy about the stock market and other forms of cash and whatever, they know that land is always going to hold a really good value. So anybody with a brain is going to invest in land.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And your health is good?
Well, other than this latest little go-around that I told you about.
Yes.
Because I stop our interview. The prognosis is good, and I don't have any idea in my head that it'll be anything but okay. You know, it's sort of a bump in the road. It wasn't what I expected, but that's what happens in life. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But other than my health, actually, until this little episode, my health has been extraordinarily good. I took zero medication. For somebody in their 70s, I really feel like I'm in my early 60s.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I don't relate to 75. No, girlfriends are my daughter's ages. It's just that's kind of the group that I relate to, you know, late 50s, early 60s.
I relate to older people, so I totally get it.
Yeah, yeah.
So real quick, we got to play my Secret Silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions, no win or lose, just pure fun. And how the game works is, I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the exact same question, and I answer it. And feel free to comment on answers, because they might be funny.
Okay.
Andrea, are you ticklish?
Yes. Are you ticklish, Tommy?
Oh, yes. And in fact, if you tickle me without warning, I might hit you in the groin.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
But I assume I still am. My feet especially. I can barely sit in the pedicure bowl.
Yeah. Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
Innie. Is yours innie or outie?
Same. Innie.
Okay.
What color are your toenails painted?
Pink. Hot pink. Are you going to tell me you're hot pink?
Right now they're not painted, but last time they were Easter egg blue-green.
Well, there you go. Good for you.
Yes. What would you say is your best personality trait?
Sense of humor.
You do have a great sense of humor.
Well, yeah. I don't know if you could tell from today, but yeah, that is the most important thing in life to me. I can't be around people that are too serious. Yeah. They bore me to tears. And I know you have a sense of humor, so I don't even have to ask you.
Yeah. But my best personality trait is I have empathy and I have no filter.
Well, that's good. I would say that's me too.
Yeah.
It's loose.
I'm a Gemini.
Ooh, that's tough.
It's complicated.
But Aquarian is too.
Oh, yes. In fact, your birthday's the day before my mom's.
Aww.
Oh, wait a second. Is it? No. Actually, she's February 21st. I'm sorry.
So she's in the next group,
She's Pisces. She? Yeah.
My dad was a Pisces. I'm sorry. Sorry.
My dad's also a Pisces, March 4th.
Oh. Good.
And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Huh. Oh, that's a strange question. No, I think the only thing that is really, might even came to mind, would be like a dead animal outside.
Yeah.
That'd be about, that sounds weird, but I can't think of anything else that's that bad.
Okay.
I mean, if it's smelly, I just get away from it. I don't sit long enough to let it gag me. How about you?
Either farts or feet.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, if somebody's going to subject me to that, like I said, I'll find a way to leave the room.
I have a joke for you.
Okay.
What do you call a boy that doesn't masturbate?
Not alive.
A liar.
Well, yeah, hello.
You know the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot?
No.
A man rather spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball.
Yeah, well, I would say that's probably true.
Yeah.
You gotta have that one.
Yeah. Andrea, thank you so much for coming on and finally doing this. You are a lot of fun.
Well, thanks. Sounds like I'm going to be spending a lot of time on YouTube here because I'm curious about my career that I don't remember.
Yeah, you'd be surprised the things you'd find.
Yes, I guess. All right. Well, you take care. And I'm sorry I had to cancel you last. I would have probably been okay, but I had a treatment and I'm kind of funky for about 5 days afterwards. I should have known that when I booked it. I'm sorry to do that to you.
It's perfectly fine. And you have yourself a great day. Be safe out there.
I will. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Andrea Howard, ain't she a sweetheart? What a great lady and great conversation we had. Yeah, the connection was a little rickety, a little dodgy, but hey, it was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that we finally got to talk, and that's great that she has a politically incorrect sense of humor. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.